Hi guys, it's Vita from Posture Solutions. Thanks for watching. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the topic of being able to touch your toes. You watching may not be able to touch your toes. I come across many clients who have that trouble of either they used to be able to touch their toes when they were younger, and it's been years since they've been able to, or they've never been able to, or they've stretched their hamstrings constantly and still are not getting any closer to their goal of touching their toes. So I want to go a little bit into detail of what your body requires in order for you to touch your toes and how you can change some of that so you can reach your goal. The biggest thing that I notice when people, when I ask them to touch their toes, is the structure and the function of their pelvis and their legs and their upper body when they're trying to go into that exercise, I guess you could call it, or into that motion, that movement. And so I want to just kind of give you that structure and that base from the beginning. So whenever you are trying to touch your toes, what is happening? Your pelvic bones, your hips have to do a huge amount of the movement. A lot of people think hamstrings. Hamstrings are tight, I can't touch my toes. Well, muscle moves bone, right? So there's bones that are involved when you're trying to get some kind of muscular movement. And so your pelvic bones have to rotate nicely on your femur heads, right? So you've got your femur bone. This is that big long bone that you've got right here. This is the top of it. It's called the head. And it sits inside the socket, inside the acetabulum of the hip, right in here. And so when you're going forward, and this isn't just touching your toes, this is, going forward to pick something up off the floor or pick your kid up or pick something up off the table, your pelvis has to rotate nicely forward. These guys have to stay stable, okay? What's happening in a lot of people is if your pelvic bones are not working correctly, if you've got an elevated hip or a rotated hip or tight hip flexors, you're not going to be able to create that nice rotation front and back. And so this is what starts to happen. So you touch your toes and automatically you go and your knees bend, so you compensate here because this doesn't want to work, and you're going down this way, and people will say, well, I can touch my toes, but they're not doing it correctly. And another thing that happens is your butt will push back, okay, and then you start going towards your toes. And so you are creating that V shape where you're shifting yourself back. And that's because your hips don't want to, they're being lazy, they don't want to do that rotation. And so your back is trying to lengthen, and then your hamstrings are straining under that, and so you're stuck. And you can do this, you can go to a length mirror, a full length mirror if you've got one. Just stand sideways and then just try touching your toes. So this is what's supposed to be happening. You have to have a nice straight line, and so when you go all the way down, you create a nice fold all the way down, and so we created this nice stretch here, okay? If you look in the mirror and you notice that your butt's pushing back and you're going down this way, shift yourself forward, okay? And you'll notice a bigger strain on the back of your legs, and that's because all of a sudden your pelvis started rotating a little bit better to go forward. And so in that case, you can stretch these guys back out here, but they're already in trouble because they're already compensating for the fact that these guys aren't working properly. So I wanted to show you 2 exercises or 3 to help reset your pelvic position and help stretch. And it's going to be different. When people think touching their toes, they think, okay, well, let me stretch these guys out and pull it and all that. But what I'm going to show you is going to be a little bit different, and then hopefully you can try it and see if you can get closer to your goal of touching your toes. The first one is called an air bench. So what you're going to do is you're going to use a wall. You may have seen this, a wall sit. I know a lot of people in the gym do this in sports, but you're just going to walk your feet forward. You want your lower back to be completely flat against the wall, so it's okay if your upper back isn't. But you want that lower back to be nice and flat. You want to be at least at 105 degrees. And you're going to put all your weight into your heels. So sometimes that will require you to lift your toes up a little bit, but you want to shove all that weight towards the back. If you put the weight in the front, you're going to feel it in your hamstrings, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So you want to feel that nice quad engagement, and you'll definitely feel it. Trust me, I already feel it. But it'll engage these guys, and what it'll do is it'll reset your pelvic position. So if you've got an elevation or rotation or whatever, your pelvis is stuck in a certain way, and it's impeding that progress of being able to rotate forward. This exercise will help move you away from that, and hopefully when you come up from it, you can try going for your toes again, and you may not be perfect and you may not be there, but you should be able to feel at least some kind of change. So the goal for this one is to hold for 2 minutes. It's a pretty tough goal, but you can do it. You can just give it a shot. Just remember, this back here is nice and flat, and all the weight is in your heels, and you're just hanging out against the wall, okay? And then once you come up from that, as you can see, I don't know if you saw me from the first time I did it, but this time I almost pretty much palmed the floor. So even though I wasn't really having trouble touching my toes, but you could see I actually was able to get my hips to rotate even a little bit better and get closer to the floor than I was. So, tricks of the trade. And then another one I can show you, just to kind of work the inner hip flexor, but this one also helps to reset your thighs, gives you that better hip position as well. You want to sit nice and tall, good little arch here, so you don't want to be slumping, and you don't want to be pulling back with your shoulders either. So you're rotating your pelvis, you're sitting nice and tall, feet are nice and straight, and you're just squeezing a block or a pillow or a ball or whatever between your knees, and you want to get that nice, about 50% squeeze. So not a weak squeeze and not too hard, but just good movement. You'll really start to feel it there after a while on the inner thighs. And so that also helps pull your hip out of any dysfunction or deviation that's occurring. And once you come up from that one as well, you should be able to retest yourself again, and hopefully get even closer to your goal. So there's that, 2 little exercises. It doesn't take much, but it's getting to that root cause, and that's what posture therapy teaches. So get to the root cause, fix it, your symptoms go away, and you create lasting change. Till next time.